Guys, you'd think that the LA protest was enough, or what Trump said, that when someone has been in the States like for so many years, they will not get deported. You'd think that that promise would actually take effect, but well, that was just professional yapping or PR stunts. Guess what? Texas farmers are having it rough. Yes, despite them even being Republican or MAGA supporters, they're having it rough because this week and the past few weeks, their workers have not been turning up on farms. Like, they have not been turning up to do their job. This has left the Texas farmers extremely worried because now, you know, these workers are extremely afraid of ICE and the ICE deportations. There has been that video that has been circulating of, you know, ICE agents going to the farms, literally the farms, going to capture what they say are undocumented migrants. And following this course, these guys have just decided we're not turning up because we are not risking our lives. We are not going to be detained for around 6 months in order to just get deported. Like, nah, that's not it. Let's take a listen.
This is what Trump voters were too stupid to see on their own. They had no foresight to see what this was going to do. Story after story after story about what these ICE raids are really doing to America. When we told you that Trump was going to destroy our economy and what these ICE raids were going to do to the immigrant and to the agriculture community within our economy, we weren't just saying it for fun. We were trying to warn you. In a stunningly swift overnight change, some Texas farm operations had to shut down after losing virtually all of their workforce. An exodus triggered by the increase in immigration raids and increased enforcement. The ripple effect of these raids are the gift that keeps on giving and will be felt nationwide. Unpicked crops are now left unharvested, livestock were left unattended, and rural economies are on edge. You can read the rest and pause it if you want. And the damage is already done. Even if we stopped all the ICE raids and said, never mind, come back, do exactly everything you were doing, they wouldn't. Because Donald Trump has also made the entire world not trust us. And you know what? Other economies in other countries are probably going to take advantage of the immigrants that we treated like shit and kicked out of this country and benefit their economy. Meanwhile, we're not going to have fruit, vegetables, meat in a lot of our stores. And the stuff we do have is going to jack up in price. Good job, Trump voters.
So some bad news for U.S. agriculture. Farms in Texas are shutting down at an increasing rate. This is mainly due to the fact that the workforce has literally vanished 100% overnight in some cases. Of course, the immigration raids by Donald Trump's ICE department is causing this, and it's leading to complications for the business, and in many cases these businesses are actually shutting down. The issue with this, of course, is that the supply chains will be affected. Prices will be increased as food scarcity increases as well.
You know, I'm seeing all these videos right now where all these farmers are crying about not getting no help right now. You know what? Let me ask you something. When have you ever heard of a black farmer crying about it? Never. And you want to know why? Because they ain't never got no help in the first place. That's right. USDA's literally admitted to discriminating against black farmers. And literally black farmers had to sue, thousands of them, to get what white farmers are handed for free. And fast forward to today, all these farmers crying that they can't get no help. You see, black farmers, they've been struggling. Y'all just now feeling what they've been feeling for over 100 years. Black farmers, they used to own over 19 million acres of land. But guess what? Systematic racism, denied loans, shady politicians, and legal loopholes wiped them all out.
Immigrant farm workers are not showing up on farms in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, Florida, and California. In Texas, in particular, in the Rio Grande Valley, they produce many crops needed around the country, such as grapefruit, corn, citrus, oranges, all the vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, cabbage, onions are all grown here. And guess what? The undocumented workers are not showing up there. They're not showing up here in Florida, and they're not showing up in California. Now, I can hear you all say, you don't care. You're glad they're getting them. They're breaking the law, number one. They are criminals. They're not criminals. They are violating a civil violation, which is a fine or a penalty. It is not criminal, unlike the felon in the White House. That's a criminal. You will be complaining when you see no fruit, vegetables, and other crops in our grocery stores to eat. You will care when you see the prices escalate even higher. Isn't that the reason y'all supposedly voted for Trump? Because he was going to bring the prices down, and y'all could only complain and complain about everything under Biden. I don't hear y'all complaining about these out of control prices anymore that we continue to see everywhere thanks to Donald Trump. And all the prices that we've seen go up because of the trade deals or no trade deals and the tariffs. Well, guess what? These prices are going up. Thank you, Donald Trump. You and Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is such a genius. You know, he is the whole reason that we're having this whole problem, because he is so anti-immigrant. And by the way, his family came from Europe. They were persecuted as immigrants. And Elon, oops, did I say Elon? I did say Elon. Elon, how do you like hanging out with Stephen's wife? What do you think? Love to hear from my Democrats and MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. What do you all think? Only going to cost us more money, and to accomplish what? This is not a solution. It is the problem. Donald Trump and Stephen Miller are the problem.
Guys, let's take a moment and acknowledge the type of emergency that we have right now in Texas. Yes, it's about the farmers, and we all know in any other countries, farmers usually are the backbone of the countries, because if there is one thing that people cannot escape from, it's definitely eating or consuming food. We need food in order to survive. Food, apart from air, is very essential item, and that is made possible by our very own farmers. Now, despite everyone knowing that, and despite that being a basic thing, it happens that their very own government that should support the farmers is actually trying to F them up. In what ways? Trying to make the average worker not attend to their duties. I think it's now harvesting season in Texas, and barns are left unattended to. Crops are not picked. What needs to be harvested is not being harvested. And you know, something that is ready to be harvested, if it continues sitting longer in farms, it's gonna be exposed to conditions that are gonna make them destroy. They're gonna rot. They're gonna lose their quality. You know, when something like, for instance, a fruit is ripe and it's ready to be picked, but if there is no one to pick that fruit, it's gonna get extremely ripe or extra ripe, and then after some times it might fall or it might get rotten, because now it can't continue hanging on there constantly like, I'm just gonna hold on until someone comes and sees me. No, nature doesn't work that way. When something is ready, it gets attended to. And the funny thing is that most of these farmers cannot do that themselves. They really need the help of these so-called undocumented migrants, who are not even criminals, as the Trump administration states or has been insisting to its people, saying that we are deporting them because the so and so people have committed crimes in their very own countries or even in the United States. They're saying this without evidence, of course, and now these people have shied away from attending these farms or making themselves available physically in order to perform their duties that have been assigned for by these very own farmers. You need to know that it's not only a disaster, but it's a cut to emotion of crops being in farms and then them transitioning from the farms to the very own stores. And that's why people are gonna realize this week or the coming months that prices of commodities are gonna skyrocket, especially now in Texas. And these farmers, the very own farmers that did vote for Donald Trump, are in the find out phase.
So there are reports coming out right now about farms in Texas losing nearly 100% of their staff due to immigrant workers not turning up because of fear of the ICE raids. So let's talk about that. Texas farms generate around $32 billion a year in revenue for the state, huge, valuable. And there's around 100,000, and there's hundreds of thousands of farm workers in Texas. And around 20-30% of those are foreign born, and around 17% of those are undocumented. So there's a lot of immigrants, and a substantial number of undocumented immigrants. Now, the ICE raids have caused people to stay at home, and because of the fear that they're going to get deported. This means that farms are losing their staff. Some dairies have lost half their works overnight. That's halts milk operations and also means the herd isn't being tended to. But it's not 100% of staff because less than 30% are immigrants in the first place. So we need to clarify 2 points. First of all, it is an issue because farms require a lot of manual labour. And even if you're losing 10% of the staff, that's going to be a bigger impact, but it's not 100%. Now, the reason it's a problem right now is this harvest is going on right now. So it's the winter wheat harvest, so it's planted at winter, gets harvested now, and around 50% of wheat could be harvested right now. And it's a critical phase. That's not going to happen if the staff aren't there. You then got a lot of fruit being harvested right now, cantaloupes, watermelons, peaches, plums, blackberries. They're all being harvested right now in either central or northern Texas. And these delays could either cause a loss of the crop or a reduced quality and therefore reduced revenue for the farmers. So it's actually quite a big issue. There's also secondary effects. So hay and silage is having troubles being harvested. That means there's going to be a long tail impact because the lack of hay now is going to impact the feed supplies later on. You've also got problems with logistics, so haulage, delivery, and then food processing plants. So think about abattoirs, etc. If the immigrant workers don't turn up for that either, you're not going to be able to get the food processed even once it is going from the farm to the factory. So this is quite a big issue. Not 100% of staff, but it is a significant percentage of staff, which is going to impact food supplies.
We're here. We are here at the FAFO stage. This is really bad. I'm just going to read this to you. Multiple Texas farms shut down after almost 100% of workforce vanishes overnight. In a stunningly swift overnight change, some Texas farm operations had to shut down after losing virtually all of their workforce, an exodus triggered by the increase in immigration raids and increased enforcement. The ripple effects of these raids are the gift that keeps on giving and will be felt nationwide. Unpicked crops are now left unharvested. Livestock were left untended, and rural economies are on edge. The story isn't just a tale of woe for Texas farms, it's a warning for American agribusiness, food prices, and communities that keep food on our plates. I need you to share this with every Republican you know. And you don't even need to wait for their response. They just need to know what's happening. And this is part of my line of work. I deal with commercial farmers, including these small farmers, as clients, and I cannot tell you how this is the beginning of the complete collapse of our economy under this Project 2025 administration that doesn't know what they're doing. You talk about the immediate shuttering of farms, because this is actually what's happening. With the food, with the harvests that are lying there completely rotting, that is a loss of food to local food distributors, local grocery stores, local restaurants, hospitals. They sell their harvests, all sorts of vegetables, to businesses within the state of Texas. This is where you can go into your local grocery store and now you're going to see hardly any vegetables or fruit, depending on what they're growing, or a shortage of meat. This is what's going to happen. Now, all of the other industries that support farming, you've got local pesticide, herbicide, fertilizer suppliers that are just, their sales are going to plummet. These farmers aren't going to be purchasing that. You've got H-2A workers who are now gone, migrant workers who are now gone. They were paying taxes. Even if they didn't have social security numbers, they were given tax numbers, tax ID numbers. So now you got millions of dollars just poof, gone overnight from these Texas communities. You've got truck trucking companies that are hired to haul the produce from the farms to the packaging plants. You've got packaging plants who wash the vegetables, grade the vegetables, pack the vegetables, whose sales are going to plummet. Now you're going to have other industries who don't employ either migrant workers or H-2A workers who are going to have layoffs. This is all under Republican leadership, not just from the White House, but from the Republicans that were elected in the state of Texas. And if you think this is going to stop at Texas, you've got another thing coming. And you want to know which farms are going to be impacted further down the road? They're going to be safe for now. There's a small percentage of farmers who are actually Democrats, and they understand how important it is to protect their employees, take care of their employees. Those employees who feel safe will keep showing up for work because they know the owners have their backs, which says something about these other farms where the employees are like, I'm too scared to show up. Let me add this final thing. This is going to impact farmers. They're at risk of going out of business. Who's going to jump in? The federal government to compensate them with our tax dollars. So now our tax dollars is going to be used to cover the bullshit leadership of this administration on top of the overwhelming increasing tax dollars being used by this administration to scare, to deport, to imprison people with brown skin. Like, our tax dollars are not helping everyday Americans at all. And this is just the beginning under Republican leadership.
One would ask themselves, don't these Texas farmers have agricultural insurance? Well, in many countries, not all farmers do take insurance, and you all know how insurance do act up sometimes, and not even sometimes, most of the times, they really do not just compensate people easily. They just want to take you around the corners. That's just a literal word for it. But even before we go into the implication of this whole thing, I'm just here to at least highlight how most of these farmers, MAGA supporters who voted in for MAGA, you clearly knew that your farmers were undocumented migrants. That is something for a fact you knew. And then again, you knew that if you voted in for this person, his immigration policies, if they were supposed to be effected, would really affect you directly, and you went ahead to do it. It seems like someone poking into lava, and they knowing that if you poke into lava, it might cause an eruption, but you do it regardless. And when it erupts on you, you start crying, and you want to blame the forest services or wildlife services that they have left the place open, or they have left this place to be accessed by anyone else. You know the dangers, and you just go in there like a toddler or like a moth to flame. So it's really like a double standards. And even now, despite these farmers facing these harsh conditions or harsh truth, some of them who have these undocumented migrants would really even expose them to ICE, despite even them knowing that they really need them, despite them facing this situation here where they cannot harvest their crops, they cannot tend to their farms. Most of them would call ICE on these very laborers. This is not a story of just laborers. It's a story of people who have come to work genuinely, who tend to the farms genuinely, who make America great again by having them have a continuous supply of food. Yes, we know it's farmers who put their money in it, who buy their seedlings, cultivate the land, till the land, but they need human labor for that, and it's a very, very human labor that sustains these farmers, that sustains the United States economy. If this food is being able to be harvested from the farms and being transported to the stores, the grocery stores that you guys, access daily, now you might find even simple items costing like $1 might even skyrocket to up to $5. And you know what? It's because of things like this. It's because of things that you do think that is not affecting you. It's you being lied to that these undocumented migrants are criminals, and then you fall for it, and now you have to pay triple or quadruple the price of an item that you were supposed to pay, like let's say $1, $2. You're now paying $7, $8, and you still want to go out there and say, but the government is doing the right thing. Why not just call these people or make arrangements of how these people can be given a legitimate working visa in order for them to work, and then if their time expires, either renew them or now urge them to leave the country in a more sophisticated way. I really do think like this ICE raids are sarcastic. They make people fear for their lives. Even the very own people who have gained US citizenship status or people who have gotten the stay visa, it makes everyone be anxious. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it's gonna F up the economy in a big way in the long run. In the coming few months, let's say around September, October, November, oh my god, if the government or if the Trump administration would not have resolved this issue, it's gonna be a very big problem. But anyways guys, what do you think about this whole issue? Do you think it's the Texas farmers who brought this for themselves, or do you think there is a way that they can redeem themselves? Do you think that there is a way that the Trump administration can address this issue? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down there below. Don't also forget to check the original creators. Their usernames have been embedded in the stitched videos as always. Go on to their TikToks, follow, like for this channel, smash a huge thumbs up for this video, consider subscribing to the channel, turn on post notification. Let me meet you in the next upload. Peace out.